Howdy. You know, technically, I'm pretty sure this is like a much shorter amount of time than it was compared to how long the last stream, the wait between last stream was. But it still feels like it's been a while. Which, I mean, it's still nearly a week, so it still is a lengthy amount of time. Although, I suppose it's more that a lot has happened. No, yeah, it's definitely the best way to say it. A lot has happened. The Cliff Notes version would be, well, job woes from me, pretty close to over. And like the main reason I have been like streaming so little was because like, you know, I was sort of, you know, much as I hate the phrase, on that grind, just like, you know, sending applications everywhere. I got picked up. That's nice. So just sorting out all the like, you know, the bureaucratic red tape behind all that. For the most part, it shouldn't really affect stream times like how it was back usually. Because it'd be like it'd be like weekends and like ends, like the ends of the day. And their ends of the day is like way into the night, going into technically the next day. But only just a little. So the times I'd be, you know, streaming regularly would be it wouldn't be actually that much different really. You know, that's good alongside just, you know, that general woe just being gone. Because I mean, the biggest thing wasn't that I didn't have a job, although, you know, that was worrying too. Is that like, ugh, being dead. You know, that weighs heavy. But you know, I mean, with that, you know, that sort of alleviates the situation a bit. But yeah, it makes me happy. Let's see, decided to do work, like people who were in the rota decided to do work in the middle of the night without telling anybody. So we find out that, well, I found out it was illegal, one of the things, and when they were working on it, the way they were working on it made it worse. So we're like, okay, we gotta replace this thing. So, you know, then we did. But it was the after effects that we're still feeling now, like a few days, like days after, is that while doing it, they just somehow fucked up, and made it to where the water was unsafe to drink and, you know, generally used. So now I want a boil notice. You know, that's fun, except for all the ways that I ain't. Let's see. Hooking up the water. Nah, I think that's really it in the terms of tuba. I mean, I guess like the job thing is like relates to like once I get into like the groove of it and get like, you know, a handle on, you know, the times and the scheduling of it, you know, things should be able to become more consistent once again. Not even just in this front, but like every other front too. Game development, music making. Cause, you know, it's kind of hard to focus and just sort of put your all into it, because like the main reason I haven't been like streaming, because like, I mean, yeah, of course, the main reason was so I could just focus on sending applications and whatnot. The other one was like because like I was just so worried that, you know, I don't think it'd be a good headspace, and, you know, the streams would just be like, so just me just like under like right underneath being like, oh man, I'm so worried, like I'm riding a horse without any water and we're in the middle of the desert. And that definitely would have shown through. At least, you know, things are better now. But to that end, Yeah, okay. I think we're ready to, you know, keep on with this. And so, I mean, we got 3 layers left, 5, 6, and 7. And, you know, I think, you know, I don't think they're nearly as dense, so we should be able to go through them pretty easily. Now let's get to it. Okay, so, you know, once again, I just need to boot up my music. You know, I remember to set up the document with all the information, a picture of the layer, just a reference. You know, I just forget to just actually open up the music. I've been doing this for over a year, by the way, can you tell? And let's do the exit now. Turn that down a bit. There we go. Okay, much better. Okay, so embarrassing as it is, we do have to start with another addendum. But this one, unlike me just forgetting, like with the lock shop, this one is interesting in the sense that the origin of it is much more interesting than you'd think. Because, like, this is what's up. Like, the entry is, as the title says, lead maidens are single-handedly ruining this game. Which, it was in quotes because it's one of the things the original person who made the Iceberg had on it. And it was this, but in quotes. So when I was looking through it, making sure I just, you know, gone through everything and, like, time stamping the Iceberg, like the last Iceberg stream, I noticed how it was in quotes, and I was like, huh. I wonder why. Like, I should just look it up. And then it was this post from Enter the Gungeon Circle Jerk, which, I mean, yeah. Lead maidens are single-handedly ruining this game. There's no reason an extremely common random enemy should be tons harder than everything else so far, including the floor 2 boss, even though Lead Maiden started showing up before that fight. Makes every moment not spending a Lead Maiden pointless, because whether or not I win depends 99% on whether or not that bullshit mini-boss appears. I've never seen one non-boss single-handedly ruin a game before, but this one is doing it extremely efficiently. Being one Lead Maiden is harder than being Rabby's true boss rush? I'm guessing that's a game. Yeah. A platformer game. It distinctly, I'm not saying it gives off, I'll admit, it's not giving you the best impression. So, that's interesting. I guess it must be hard. It's fucking unforgivable to have the game change so radically every time that enemy shows up. It kills me in like one fucking hit and has far more health than everything else I've fought before. But also being bigger and faster than anything else too. God. This is something. Whoever came up with that enemy needs to go jack off to medieval torture porn and get it out of the stomach. Jesus Christ. I really wish the creators of this game would just decided to make an amazing game or the worst game ever and stuck with it. So as you can see, it is someone just complaining hand over fist about the Lead Maiden. Which, that is something. Speaking of, another thing I forgot. I was beginning to boot up the game. You know, and stuff. Yeah, no, and then I recorded a thing of Isaac the other day, so... Oh, that was not it. There we go. Then, okay, so with that... There we go. Alright. So, with all of that, you know, sorted out. And then, you know, first things first, fix this up. There we go. We have the hollow. Which, I mean, this is where things start becoming much more... I don't want to say just super obscure, but like... it's not exactly like common knowledge anymore. So first things first, we have Golden Junkan. Now, if you remember last time, we went over this little fella. Junkan. You know, little double guy. Has a decent chance of replacing junk that you get from destroying the chest or from anything else, really. Until you unlock him, in which case then it gets like a 1% chance and, you know, it can drop as like an actual item. But, you know, you get more junk. Give it a 5. Except I didn't hit. Oh. You give us 5 junk, you know, you get stronger. Goes around and fights for you. Come on, little buddy. But, here's the thing. So I mentioned how, like, lies would also work as junk for him. But that leaves one junk type left. Golden junk. Or gold junk. And, you see, Junkan has a synergy. He gives him a mech. And this mech suit, well... Yeah, he has a laser blade. There we go. There's that. A gun. Come on, Junkan. I know you got more. You got one more. The goes on firing. Blasting again. Come on. There we go. Yeah, he's got like a melee laser blade, missiles, machine gun. This guy's essentially playing Armored Core. But and if you throw it down, he goes back to normal. And there's a gold junk transformation. It automatically overrides everything. If he has no junk, he'll become the mech. If he has 7 junk and has reached max form, he still goes into the mech. Okay, so just let me reach where I was. Okay. So, okay, first things first. Something else to note. Okay, so you just give me a bunch of curse just so that I can have it. No, I spawned out like a gun nut. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I can spawn this guy. And the reason I went back and got the curse is because this next bit requires like a jammed enemy, and the gun nut at least has a high amount of health. Let's spawn 5 of them. Oh, one of them should be jammed. Okay, yeah. Okay, 2 of them. What? Nope. Okay, that was not what I was trying to show. Let's go with 3. Once again, not what I'm looking for. Ow. Nope. That's not it. And just give us more hearts so we don't die. Okay, attack the jammed one with that very attack. No, not that one. Use your gun. Okay, there we go. So, as you saw, his machine gun can de-jam an enemy. And that missile barrage, it bypasses the DPS cap. Now and those 2 are because his machine gun uses the Heck Blaster, which is like the gun and the missile both come from existing guns. The machine gun uses the Heck Blaster, while the missiles are from the Yari launcher, which, as we mentioned, was like one of the premier examples of like things that are designed to break the DPS cap and just sort of melt bosses. Now then, where's the Heck Blaster? Which is another gun that's like real tiny. Yeah, with the Heck Blaster, it unjams enemies. So, and then when it comes to actually getting gold junk, what you need to do you need to unlock gold junk first. And what you do is you have to destroy an A, S, or rainbow chest, like an A tier, S tier, or rainbow chest. A being the red one, S tier being the black one, and rainbow chest being, well, a rainbow chest. And this doesn't mean you waste the chest, because you can do it after you open it too. It has a weight of like 0.005, so like 5,000ths of a chance, like weighted chance. But it's multiplied by 3, so to like 0.015 with Junkan. So it triples its chance triples, but it's still hugely uncommon due to like it giving you like an absurd amount of money. So there's that. Okay, let me resize the window again. Feels just a tad too big. There we go. Okay, so next is Goopton Translate, which, okay, just to keep this one noted, we're going back to the breach. So, Goopton is an NPC in the game. Like, while most of the other ones just, straight up speak English, or, whatever your localized language is, Goopton uses these symbols, which, they don't make any sense at all. But I'm just going in just because, to reset the dialogue. Just so he doesn't just immediately say the same thing again. But there is a way to find out what Goopton is saying. And it requires just an item. And if I remember correctly, it does even mention, not directly, but sort of implies that has an effect with it. You hold the sponge. Removes all the goop in a small radius continuously. So it just removes, if there's water, oil, fire, poison, it takes it away. A normal sponge useful for cleaning up messes. Holding it, you hear the whispers of an alien tongue. And if you give yourself, if I mess up a sponge, which I can just have in the breach, because I'm still technically, in gameplay or whatever. You go talk to Goopton. I'll proceed to go to my phone. You can now understand what Goopton's saying. And the Goopton has a lot to say. So if when you rescue Goopton, says, "Thank you, my name is Mr. Goopton. I came to the Gungeon to research the strange and mysterious goops that can be found here. I've long been a student of the Babylonian Empire's technology. I followed them here years ago to see how the martial strategies would evolve in the Gungeon. But Goopton, studies all things goop. Hence why, the potion of, lead skin and gun friendship, Goopton inventions, because, the liquid's in goopy. But more specifically, he came to the Gungeon because that's where the Babylonians fled to. And then he opened the shop just so he can continue funding his research. And if you shoot him, he calls you son of a goop, goop hole, goop head. And then when it comes to the random dialogue that he gives you, that isn't about purchasing something or repeat dialogue, which is what we got. I thought it would have cleared it, but he says what are those monstrosities coming out of your body? I assume he talks about our limbs compared to their tentacles. He calls us the ugliest thing he's ever seen, and finds our lack of goop concerning and disgusting. So, that's fun. Okay, now here comes the only entry aside from this sort of just completely balls to the wall final layer of the original post. This is the one that confuses me the most. Because even things just Gunsnake Bad and Hunters Best Waifu or Storm the Swordtress, which is just a obvious joke. Gungeon Revolutionary War I have no clue what it means. This is from the like I said, I didn't put this here. This is from the original Iceberg, which I'm still linked back on. The original Reddit post still linked below. And interesting note: the Enter the Gungeon subreddit, while it was leading up to the first stream, was privated due to the Reddit protest. And it's since opened back up. But with the sort of morally gray, we just kicked up the old mods and put them in. And by morally gray, I mean I don't agree with that. It's a situation. Yeah, Gungeon Revolutionary War, I have no clue what it could mean. So my only two ideas is that it could like maybe refer to like the old type, like old weaponry, like the Corsair and like the dueling pistol. Like just being things. And the other idea is, I guess, it has to do with the Dreadnought. Or it relates to it. Like the Dreadnought and the hegemony. Like, and potentially, like, it could mean, like, refer to when the hegemony and man were trying to, like, invade and take over the Gungeon. But, you know, lost. I mean, it could also be considered, but I mean, it wouldn't make much sense there because it's not much of a revolution, it's an invasion. It could be maybe canon, because like it mentioned, because like Gunham like practiced ammomancy. And Canon wanted to usurp the Gungeon, like the throne, like the power of the Gungeon. So we don't know if he's actually from the Gungeon or whatnot, or like is like relating to the Gungeon at all. So we don't know if he just like came in to just fight and take it over, or if he like was of the Gungeon and is staging like a coup. With like, you know, because like a Gunham like gained followers and like using the summon cannon. Like it's just a lot of things that we like. I could theorize a bunch, but in the end I have no clue what this means. Okay, but you know, after that we have the D-pad Dragun cheese. So put it back down. An interesting to note about the D-pad is, of all the guns, it has a special effect. And I'm not just talking about... Oh, yeah, directional. I'm not just talking about the two special moves, but it has another effect once you empty out all the ammo. And just like as a little refresher, backpack fire spawns the Scorpion's hook from Mortal Kombat, which I mean they really for MK1 they released a trailer recently that harkened back to the original Mortal Kombat trailer. That's neat. And then I think it showed not like a direct reveal, but just like just showed Shang Tsung in the gameplay shot. So I guess he's confirmed, which I mean it makes sense. But okay, once you use up all the D-pad, the ammo of the D-pad, it doesn't just become empty like most other guns. It spawns a chest of any rarity. But you lose that, but you permanently lose the D-pad. So it's like the only gun that you can only empty ammo out of once. But the ability to spawn a chest anywhere has an interesting interaction with the Dragun. So what happens? Okay, see, I'm just gonna watch some music. So what happens is chests have a unique property where they're indestructible to enemy bullets. And the Dragun has this attack where he like blasts you with waves of fire with circles you're supposed to dodge between. But using that chest and that mechanic where like chests are invincible, you can just stand behind it, like use as cover, and just essentially completely cheese the last phase of the Dragun. Now, that is to say that using your own bullets will still break it. But, I mean, the Dragun won't be able to. Okay, arrow can. So let me give myself. So actually, just give me the revolver. Okay, so the revolver, and by extension, the revolver rounds, is a yeah. Oh, I didn't expect them to just immediately. Okay, I expected them to go down a different way. Well, I mean, I guess while we're here, this is the arrow can. What the revolver and revolver rounds do is they devolve an enemy, meaning to make them into like a weaker form. And what do you do when they're already at their weakest? Caveman. Or cave bullet in this sense. Which, I mean, technically doesn't make sense in the sense for the gun nut, because the gun nut isn't a bullet again. It's a... Okay, if we go off a piece of art from the Ammonomicon, Physical Ammonomicon, it's a Gungeon that decided to start working out. Either way, I'm pretty sure it's not a bullet kin. Either way. So they just turn into an arrow kin once you do that to them. Let's see. Pretty sure I passed it instantly. There we go. Primitive bullet kin from ancient days. So what I could do is, because it's not just any enemy like chosen to be devolved instantly, turns into arrowkin. Because there is a process. Okay, I guess not. No, okay, I could have sworn that it used to be... Like, I was pretty sure that it would actually... Like, just turn them into... Like, a weaker form, but I mean, I guess... Like, I guess I may be wrong. Because, like... much later on, Isaac put in... The Binding of Isaac has an item called, like, the... I think, is it, like... The D... No, it's not the D6. The D... Is it the D8? Either way, it's a dice item that, like, it used to just reroll enemies, but then was given, like, a similar, like, weakening effect, where it just made it put the enemies in a weaker form. I could have sworn it would have, like, turned in, like, it did the same thing. Okay, okay, so this is actually a patch. It was in the Farewell to Arms update that turned them into, that like made it into where they turned into arrow can only. So that's interesting. So it used to have that effect, that I remember it having. But once Farewell to Arms came out, they patched it to where it only devolves things to arrow can. So it's kind of like magic guns or the Snake Maker. Because like magic guns, like the bundle of wands or the witch pistol, the hexagon, like they have a chance to just turn enemies into a chicken, which instantly kills them. Same thing with the Snake Maker, except it turns the enemies into a snake. That's interesting. So, next up is the Gun Fairy, which, honestly, alongside this and figuring out the spawn for the shop creeps access to the RNG department, like requiring you to actually perfect the boss instead of just having a master round. Like, you know, this series is, you know, these Iceberg videos have like actually opened up more information. Okay. Okay. The next up is the Bullet Fairy, or Gun Fairy. So inside these decorative pots, and for some reason the statues inside the Gorgon's boss room, you can destroy them. And there's a small, tiny chance, 0.05%, so, you know, 1 out of, like, every 10,000 pots or, like, statues you destroy, that a Gun Fairy will spawn. And just give myself funnel. Wait, what? Does it not exist? This is just fairy? Hot fairy. Yeah, as you can see, it's just, yeah, flying around. And with the bottle, yeah, you can just instantly kill it like that. It doesn't, you know, the Legend of Zelda heal you effect. It's a full heal too. So if you have like 20 hearts for some reason and you're down to like the last half a heart, you can use a fairy and just heal back to full. But you know, that would require you, one, not only running into a Gun Fairy, but also having the bottle. And then normally you can just fight it like, and it comes in red and blue. Yeah, it's not that strong. It's more of the surprise factor that gets you. Same as like wall mimics. But it does have an entry. Yeah. So I'm guessing like voting wise, the Gorgon statues in her boss fight room are coded to be, or they're either like built off of, or for some reason are coded to have them a chance of them popping out as well. But they're probably just like coded based off the pots, so that's just like a relic. Okay, so after that, there's the rat balloons, which it's an exit the Gungeon thing, and what it does. Oh, not that. Where are you? Okay, there you are. So in Into the Gungeon, NPCs have various quest lines, like nah, this is more about the resourceful rat who just steals all your shit. So what the rat does, so NPCs in Exit the Gungeon, they have little quest lines, like the shopkeep wants better stools, Goopton wants salt to kill his many children that he just sort of started asexually reproducing in Exit the Gungeon as well. Let's see, Flint, the living lock, wants some glue to re-adhere the giant door sticker he's pretending is a real door and that he's guarding, just so it feels important. And all those things you find in the various mini games in between, like, rooms and floor, in between, not just in between rooms, or I guess during the break between ascending the Gungeon and exit the Gungeon. And you have to, like, pop, like, I forget if you either hit the item or pop the balloon to get it. I think you have to physically hit the item. Which, considering most of the things, and it was originally created for, like, a mobile game, that's easier said than done. Yeah, so it's just this little branded, like, blimp that the Resourceful Rat has to just steal people's shit. You know, another reason to beat up the rat. I say that in the rat's, the theme of the rat's maze, Blaze. Oh. Okay, and then I got Mind Curse again, just to show off this next bit. People can, and copy this in case so we can use it. So let's spawn like 5 of them. Yeah, you know, Key Bulletkin, you know, a rare chance to spawn. They run around the room, try to hide. But there is a chance that when they can be jammed. Which, in addition to doing that, like the normal thing. So, yeah. So yeah, I killed this. There was a jam joint over here. I killed it. I have 10 keys, and as it shows above me, when you kill a jammed Key Bulletkin, it drops 2. And it's not necessarily just it's not even, oops. I hope this one's jammed, or otherwise. Nope. But Chance Bulletkin, which are like the same thing but for other items, they also have a chance to be jammed and then drop double. And then, as you can see, it's not necessarily the same item dropped twice. So, I mean, to really make use of it, you'd have to be at a pretty high curse to, like, to sort of ensure that they're jammed. Even then, as you saw, a good chunk of them weren't. So, it's a rare occurrence, but you know, it's sort of a nice payoff to them, one, moving faster, and also having more health. And you know, also you're dealing contact damage now. So a sort of better reward for the bigger risk. Okay, so the robot is organic. Once again, this sort of just refers to the fact that, like, it's sort of like how the, going back to how the Bulletkin were described as organic. With the robot able to just make use of various things that it shouldn't. Due in part to being a machine. Such as, let's see. Having a mutated arm that shoots out just a high pressure spray of blood. Being able to be poisoned, because this is not, because like poison melons aren't made of acid, as far as I know. They're just made of poison. it just leaves a toxic trail. So that implies like the robot just has a circulatory system able to be harmed by poisons. Not to mention the robot can also make use of just other items intrinsically linked to it being organic, such as the food items, monster blood, able to drink from the old knight's flask. Useless, but I mean, it still can. Able to use the drugs Bloody Eye and Liquid Valkyrie, spice, broccoli, the magic sweet, which I mean, like when it comes to more like direct foods, like broccoli and the magic sweet, you could say, oh, but it's a robot, like it's an advanced robot designed to process like organic material like food. Which, I mean, at that point, the effects of, like, things like spice, I mean, that becomes a bit, like, more in question. And the other two drugs, Bloody Eye and Liquid Valkyrie, which involve one's perception of time. Also being able to drink double vision, and, like, does get drunk. So the robot is just, I mean, for gameplay parity's sake, just gains the advantage of like all the organic stuff, but also just creates the implication that the robot is also organic. I mean, it's just one of those things that just like while it's a line you could create, it's one that doesn't really mean anything. Okay, and then once again, going back to the breach wall mimics. So, wall mimics are an enemy that have, like, well, a super rare chance of replacing a wall. Which, I hit restart run, so I'm going to the breach, but I mean, this is good for an example. Okay, go. There's a section of wall, but yeah, it like does a little lick. You know, it starts trying to attack you. Ow. So let's try that. Because normally it's much more seamless. Close enough. But yeah, it just appears out of the wall and attacks you. When they were first introduced, however, well, the code that made it just sort of randomly appear in a wall spot, you said it there. But yeah, when they were first added, in the breach, there's not supposed to be anything that could hurt you. However, back when they were first introduced, where the hell is it? Well, it wasn't like that at all. Let's just spawn like 10 of them. One of them has to be in a natural wall-like spot. Good enough. I mean, just for like, it's not like I can recreate the original, like, coding error. That's more like better. That's better, actually. But yeah, they could originally spawn in the breach, and like from the walls in the breach. And while you're in the breach, you don't have access to your gun. So as you can see, it's sort of a bad thing to happen. It's quickly patched out. Especially since if you die in the breach, the game soft locks. And you'd have to restart it. I mean, theoretically, you could deal damage to it via dodge rolls. And I guess technically, I forget if you get an item you could carry over to the run proper. I don't think they do. But yeah, so that was a little hiccup when they were first introduced. But you know, it's not the only mimics we have. Of course, you have your various chest mimics. The pedestal mimic from like the boss. Actually, wait, can I spawn one? I can. Yeah, the pedestal mimicking a boss pedestal. Which, I mean, honestly, I like them a lot because it gives you 2 items. And the door lord, which is the boss mimic that mimics the boss door that we went over yesterday, or not yesterday, last Iceberg stream. Okay, let's see. Alright, Toots Craze. Okay, this one is part joke. Actually, no, it's entirely joke. But just a kind of joke that the community latched onto for a little bit. When within the Marines past, there's this little guy known as Toots Craze. And the only thing is that, you know, the files, like, you don't get his name, you just get, oh boy. You just see him. He's just in a cell, just ranting, being all crazy like. And yeah, so in the files, that character's name is Toots Craze. So it's just a funny little thing that the community latched onto, like, Toots Craze. But in the end, I mean, it doesn't really mean that much. But, you know, I mean, some people theorize that, like, you know, Toots Craze, like, secretly knows more, or is, like, saw beyond, like, the curtain or whatever, saw, like, Kaliber, or just something eldritch. Oh, you're telling me. Yeah, you know, just all people just making, like, you know, theories just based on really nothing. But I mean, in the end, it doesn't really matter because, I mean, even when I was making theories about, like, Kaliber and the hegemony man and the Babylonian Empire and all that, it was still just sort of baseless. Okay, I wouldn't say baseless, but even then, there was still mostly just me tying together threads. Maybe Toots actually does know something we don't. Beats me. So then we have the Prepatch Knights Gun. So this is another thing where unfortunately I can't show you directly, but I can tell you having experienced it. Is it just Knights Gun? Okay, it is. Knights plural. Well, I'm more like possessive. So yeah, Knight Gun. It's a gun obviously based off of Shovel Knight. Yeah, whenever you reload, you do a little dig. And most of the time you get that one, like, little casing. Okay, so I'm just looking to make sure, like, I got my information. But yeah, it has a chance of, like, gigging up items whenever you reloaded. But only when you did a full reload. Partial reloads wouldn't count. So most of the time, you just dig up a single casing, like that. So, like, essentially, like you find a penny. With the occasional chance of, like, digging up, like, our first thing, like, an item like the bomb. So, it could be any coin. It could be 1 casing, 5 casing, or 50. You could dig up health, armor, blanks, keys, ammo, and then with the items, you could dig up a bomb, chaff grenades, C4, the cluster mine, glass Guan stones, which, you know, shatter after. This one is like, of the items, it's more common due to it, like, being lost whenever you're hit. Now, the ice bomb, the iron coin, also common, more common, is junk, which, I mean, when you have Junkan, that's a good one. Or if you're playing as a robot, who gets 5% bonus damage for every piece of junk they have. You could dig up a map, the meat button, the med kit, the orange, or spice, if... I'm not sure if it's, like, referring to... Well, you can definitely dig up spice. But it'll also definitely start paying up more if you've already taken spice, since that's what it does. So... There's a thing called a good dig. And where you get, like, actually something rare. And that's, like, anything other than 1 coin, 5 coins, or junk. Every room is allowed only 1 good dig. So after we got that bomb, we're not gonna get any, like, other items or, like, 50 coins. But there is a synergy. Well, okay, first things first, there is this synergy. Where we have the pea shooter called Green Thumb. It does nothing. It's like the only synergy in the game that is noted, but it does literally nothing. But, let's see. Okay, I got it. So there's also the synergy 2 kinds of people, which increases the amount of good digs up to 10. But it also modifies the loot table, so it's like... so some items are removed, and other things drop at a higher rate. But this stands to note that its drop rates used to be much better. Like, the drop rates were insane in how much it'd give you. To the point where I got it during a run, back during the PS4 days. And it just carried me my entire run. Not due to it just doing phenomenal damage, although it does pretty good damage. But due to it just giving me absurd amount of blanks, armor, and like enough like glass Guan stones to make it like a nearly impenetrable shield. So of course this had to be toned down a lot. And rightfully so, I might add. Okay, so after that we have ChanceToGoApeshit. Just sort of going directly down, because we'll go off to killing the Lich as the last one. Actually, yeah. So we have... Let's see. I'm pretty sure I had this somewhere. Because this relates to the Dice Shrine. I mentioned back during the NPC stuff, but I couldn't find the picture. There we go. So yeah, there's this shrine, the Dice Shrine, the Shrine of Icecohedrax, Key of Many Sides, where you go through it, you activate it, you get random effects. I pay no attention to the blanks. That was just me. I was looking for something else. But I found the Dice Shrine. I was like, oh, I mentioned him during the Iceberg. It'd be nice to have a picture. So yeah, the Iceberg right here. So usually when you do a roll of ice, you do a roll, it gives you either a good, like, one good thing and a bad thing. Like, maybe increases max ammo, but, like, takes away a heart, or takes away some blanks, or your money, or makes you more inaccurate. However, whenever you do one of these rolls, there is an absolutely tiny, infinitesimal chance where there's well, it's not really actually that big, but I mean, it's pretty small and rare considering how rare this shrine is. Considering, like, you have to get a shrine spawn and then also, like, the dice shrine. And especially since you can't use it multiple times, you can only use it once per encounter. But it's a, like, 0.1% chance of using it for it to explode, set you to 1 heart, and quadruple your damage. And then this actually has a reference in the game files, like this specific chance. And you can see it as like the thing is, it's ChanceToGoApeshit. So, I mean, yeah. Because I mean, when you just set down to 1 heart max, or at least unless you find another health up, in which case you better be praying that you do. But given quad damage, I mean, what else are you gonna do? So, I mean, that one just sort of went around once people found it in the code. Okay, so leaving keys behind. But much like locked shops from, well, many layers ago, this is another entry that is, or I guess like the Prepatch Knights Gun. This was another thing that was, like, patched out. From the very beginning of the game, like, one of the major, like, focuses, like, of, like, getting a successful run was managing your key economy. Because, I mean, I'll just give myself a map for reference. Because every floor has 2 chests. One has a gun, one has an item. There's no way of telling which is which. And if you don't have a new gun by the time you kill the boss, it'll give you a new gun guaranteed. And also back then, shops could be locked behind, like, locked doors, meaning you'd have to use a key to open the shop. And on the first floor especially, if you wanted to go to the oubliette, you would have to use 2 keys. And you start off, and every character starts off with only 1. And key spawns weren't guaranteed either. Or rather, if you didn't have a key by the time you went into the shop, 1 was guaranteed to spawn. So what became the dominant meta is that, unlike ammo and armor, which would be stolen by the Resourceful rat, keys wouldn't be. And I'm pretty sure they still aren't. They still ain't, I don't think. But so you would clear a room, you'd get a key spawn, and this even after the first floor, which was the most key hungry of the floors. This was, like, still used just because, like, keys, like, even without the 2 key, like, cost of this, there's still potentially keys in secret rooms, like chests that needed keys, or potentially room spawns. Like, you clear a room, you get a chest as a reward. It would need a key, potentially. And shops could still potentially be locked. So the meta became, if a key spawns, leave it on the floor and collect it after doing everything else on the floor. or at the very least, go to your shop first, so you could get a guaranteed way to get another key. But then, of course, eventually the generation of the shop changed, and this no longer became the shop was set. I forget if it was either set after, or if it just changed entirely. But eventually the meta was just sort of, not to say patched out, but made irrelevant. And even that makes it sound like it was intentional. It's more like the generation changed, and the meta just used a sort of quirk of the generation as a tell, or to slight manipulation that wasn't patched out intentionally. Well, perhaps it was. I'm kind of fuzzy on that because it was a while ago. Either way, they changed the generations, meaning the key. How picking up a key wouldn't affect how the shop generated with or without keys anymore. So it's just sort of like a relic, lock shops, just sort of a relic of the old game, how the old game state. Okay, so skipping over Tabla Sutra because I want to go over this next one first. We have Theodore of Ras. Which, this is a little speech that a drunkard could give you whenever you talk to him in the breach. You know, maybe we'll get lucky. Nope. But much like how other characters have a little dialogue before saying just a sort of cutoff line. He has a chance to talk about Theodore of Ras. He says, "Have you heard of the Gungeoneer, Theodore of Ras? He was known for his alacrity, but faltered with the eyes of the galaxy upon him. So beloved was he that he was granted a second chance, a new life with which to challenge the Gungeon. Yet again, yet again he fell. Today, I'm drinking to him. Poor bastard." Now, that entire little speech is a reference to Summer Games Done Quick, where speedrunner Teddy Ras made it to the Forge and died. But he got a second chance to do a run to do another run, but once again also died at the Forge. And I'm for sure this is a reference to Summer Games Done Quick, because in the text strings of the game, the little section referring to that speech is literally called SDQ 2018 or SGDQ 2018. So that's just a little. I mean, alongside Tonic directly talking to specific creators and streamers and whatnot. It's just a funny little thing. Okay, so now we move on to Tabla Sutra, which, much like how there are categories of items like the master rounds, these things that grant you pickups, bullet types, speed ups, rings. There's the Tabla Sutra. And then, I mean, as you can guess from the name, potentially based off, the name at least based off the Kama Sutra. But it's not a sex thing. There's the Tabla Sutra. It's like a martial art related to flipping tables called Flip Jitsu. And it has actual chapter names. Table Tech Stun, which stuns your enemies. Chapter 1 of the Tabla Sutra. When a table is masterfully flipped, what a most magnificent sight. Surely all who who witnessed the flip of a true master can only stand transfixed. Agog. Chapter 2. Tabletech Rage. When a table is flipped, does it not feel anger? Does it not feel rage? Understand that feeling. And when you flip the table, be yourself flipped. Made famous in a duel between the third flip Jitsu master and a nameless table flipper. Then Chapter 3, Tabletech Sight. In flipping the table, we are bettered. He who knows the table knows himself. Then there's Chapter 4, Blanks. A clear table leads to a clear mind. And this trick is the effect of a blank, which, clears all the bullets on the screen. And then, okay, so yeah, this table, you flip it so masterfully that it stuns your enemies for a bit. Then Sight. This slows down time and lets you shoot like triple the amount of bullets. And then, of course, Chapter 2, Rage. It gives you the Enraged status effect, which has a little visual indicator of you screaming. It also makes you do heavily increased damage for a little bit. Okay, so Chapter 4, Blanks, so it clears the bullets, as well as your mind. Chapter 5, Tabletech Money. Poor man sells tables. A rich man buys tables. A wise man flips tables. He cares not for the mundane possessions of the physical world. And this way, he becomes truly wealthy. And what this does, it automatically flips every table in the room, but also makes money from each of them. So, you become truly wise by flipping every table in the room. However, this kind of is at a downside because some of them have unique effects for one of them. Because all these effects trigger at once. So stun, you can't space out your stuns, your blanks, your damage boost, or your triple DPS and time slow. Or this, because with this you can't even aim it. Which Tabletech Shotgun, which fires a shotgun blast. Chapter 6. In flipping, there's both a momentary creation and a permanent destruction. Both should be cherished. So you flip the table. Which, I mean, it could be referred to the energy and whatnot. Or it could just be something else. And then the final chapter, Tabletech Rocket. The pages are badly scorched and barely legible. And then another new one, alongside Tabletech Shotgun and Heat are both ones that were introduced in a later patch. And so Tabletech Heat, which makes a sort of area of hot. Appendix-E. Time is the fire in which we burn. Tables are but the embers of the past. They all have the little effects. However, there's more. Some of them have synergies. Tabletech Sight. So the synergies are called hidden techs. Hidden tech Time, which I think you get with the camera, or it's the old bell. Either way, it freezes time instead of slowing it. And then with the Tabletech Blanks, there's Hidden Tech Bees, which you get by having a bee-related item. Instead of just clearing out all the enemy bullets, it converts them into bees that go and attack them. Now, not a tech, but this one's interesting. In the sense that there's an unused Tabletech called Tabletech table flip, which we don't know exactly what it does, but it's theorized to have had the same effect of flipping every table in the room. Which was, you know, eventually that effect was given to Tabletech money. Also, this is like one of the few items where, despite being a D tier item, it costs more money. But, you know, that makes sense. So with shotgun, there's hidden tech big shotgun, which you get by having the big shotgun. When, if you flip the table while holding the big shotgun, the pellets are replaced with a couple big shotgun pellets. And then Tabletech Rocket, it's the only one that you actually need to unlock, which you get by doing achievement like, I think it was like, I knew you were gonna do it or something, or like, why'd you do it? Which you get by pushing a table into a pit. And of course with Tabletech Heat, there's hidden tech Flare, which triples the area of it and sets enemies on green fire, which is like regular fire but permanent. But, however, there is two more. And they're referred to as apocryphal text. Tabletech Hole. This forbidden technique causes flip tables to increase exponentially in mass, collapsing almost immediately. The apocryphal text of the Tabla Sutra. Of that which we cannot flip, we must pass over in silence. And there's Tabletech Life. This forgotten technique causes flip tables to gain sentience, however briefly. An apocryphal text of the Tabla Sutra. This ancient scroll invokes the tablegrammation of the four-letter name of table. So what most people guess, because once again, we also, like, there's not like a functioning version in the code, just references to it. So with that like entry string. So what most people theorize, it converts the table into like a temporary familiar. And for the final entry of this layer, we have killing the Lich is meaningless. So as you see this, kill your past, you've already damned your future. Trying to an old gunslinger. The gunslinger being the master of the Gungeon, the Lich. Or perhaps his past self as the Gunslinger. But what happens is, once you enter the Gungeon, you're trapped. What happens with most people is that they were able to escape the Gungeon by killing their past. Whoa! You see that? That was unnatural wall mimic spawn. Oh. That got me. Oh. That was a genuine, all natural wall mimic spawn. That Bonko can brug, but not enough to get me off. Oh, that was surprising. But either way, so you're in the Gungeon. Most people get out by killing their past. But however, the Gungeoneers in Enter the Gungeon are unique. In the sense that once you kill your past, you're still trapped in the Gungeon. And after that, you unlock Bullet Hell. In which you go down to Bullet Hell and kill the Lich yourself. Which all that does is that it just sort of travels you back in time to where you create the bullet hole in the face of the Gungeon. Which, is this bit. Oops. Now, I really wish it didn't default to the one that costs money. Yeah, so the Gungeon has that giant bullet hole in that face forehead. Whenever you kill the Lich, it like sends you back in time to before that bullet hole was there. And with the bullet that you use to kill the Lich, you make the bullet hole. Sort of once again trapping, like causing like sort of time loop. But even then, after you do this, killing the Lich, all that happens is that you just once again back in the Gungeon, doomed to go and kill the Lich again and again and again. So, killing the Lich, it's an ultimately meaningless action. As the cycle just perpetuates, he remains the master of the Gungeon, and you're still trapped. The curse of the Gungeon just holding you in particular tighter, while others could escape after killing the past. You're trapped. The only way it could be the cycle can be truly broken is the Gunslinger himself. No past, no future. The only thing that can stop the Lich is the Lich. The Lich undoing his future. Only then can the cycle truly be broken. And I can't remember if this was made before Farewell to Arms, but I mean, if it was, then yeah. It like just going and killing the Lich is anything other than the Gunslinger killing his past when you first unlock him. It serves no meaning. There is no purpose. And like just like that, that's the Hollow done. Our 5th layer. Now we move on to the 6th penultimate layer, which where is it? There you are. The Forge. Which, as you can see, much smaller, and also some where the original creator started getting more crazy. So first things first is Interdimensional Horror is from the Gungeon, which the Interdimensional Horror is the boss of the Marines past. This thing. Where the Marines, like the people that the Marine were working for, summon forth like just interdimensional creature in a sort of Doom-like style. Where this thing came forth alongside a bunch of other things and started just killing them. Now, it being the reason why people theorize it's from the Gungeon is gun give I think it's Blood Brooch. Yeah. Music they make. Fear of the Old Blood. That's just a Bloodborne reference. And in Bloodborne, there's a stat called Insight, which is like your ability to perceive what really is going on in the world. And just so I can find it where it is. It's past the boss room, of course it is. But as you get insight, you're able to perceive these like massive creatures in the world. Be able to perceive what things are, like what they are for what they really are. The things that lie in plain sight that your mind couldn't comprehend. And most of them just sort of hang off of walls. Just sort of standing there. Watching. And this is where the interdimensional horror comes in. Because when you have this synergy, secret rooms are revealed to you. Sort of like the brick of cash item. but via synergy, which is sort of like another way to have the effect. This end, let's give us a makeshift cannon. This end this as quickly as we can. Oh, another Pedestal Mimic too. Man, my Mimic luck is really good today. Honestly, at this rate, I probably could have started breaking pots and naturally spawned a Gun Fairy. Alright, but another thing to note with Pedestal Mimic is both, like, so you see how these like little dots on the left are tiny? They'll both be tiny, and these ones on the bigger. With the Pedestal Mimic, they'll both be tiny, and this bigger one in the middle will be more centered. Not to mention, they'll sort of blink like, the tiny dots will blink like eyes. And wall mimics, there is no tell. They'll just appear if you, like, they'll just lick you. You walk past them, slow you down. You just have to quickly dodge roll before they slam face down. Okay, I could have sworn it was with this. Was it not? Because I could have sworn this is like the only synergy it has. No, okay, it's not. Huntsman, okay. There we go. So the Huntsman Insight. So yeah, even better. This completes the connection. Yeah, the hunters, they hunt the beast or whatever, and so this thing just is on side the entrances of secret rooms, just sitting there staring at you. And oh boy, what's that design? Oh boy, that looks real familiar, don't it? So yeah, then you can clear the wall and just, you know, go on your merry way. Oh. Yeah, I think I would just leave. Actually, wait, is that the only thing you're doing? I mean, okay, so does that mean your other bits are more of a feature of your boss fight? I mean, I'm just curious about how enemies function not in the proper arena. So he'll just use the same two attacks. Interesting. And teleport to the same spot. But either way, yeah, so they're sort of like dead ringers for each other. And with those ones appearing in the Gungeon, it stands to reason maybe the entire species is from the Gungeon. Perhaps another one of those demons mentioned by the demon head. I went through every section but the right one. The demon head mentions 3 tails of demons that dwell beneath the Gungeon, all end in fire. Perhaps this is one of them. Okay, so... oh yeah, mountain cubes outside of the Gungeon. The next one. So, there's an enemy, the mountain cube. Giant, ice cube, spiky. Oh. They are known to exist outside the Gungeon and have been seen wearing tacky sweaters. This refers to their sort of original appearance in Dodgeroll's first game. Nope, that's not it. I'll pop this up. Oh, that's just the wrong one entirely. This is the one I meant. So, the original game they came from is Fort Parker's Holiday Profit Hike, where there's sort of an enemy or an hazard for you, where they like throw snowballs. Oh. Oh. I swear, OBS is just so finicky sometimes. But oh yeah, looky. Doesn't that look familiar? Yeah, you just like send ropes and climb all over the place. And these guys are just there, wearing their tacky sweaters. So these things just sort of exist outside the Gungeon as well. And while we're talking about Fort Parker's Holiday Profit Hike, Blackstash, who is the president of the hegemony of man that you rescue in House of the Gundead. Yep, President Beastat Blackstash. It also stands to mention that it looks like he appears again. Let's see, I'm pretty sure I put it in here somewhere. I thought I did. Oh yeah, that. Yeah, where he appears sort of like as a sort of character design there in the bottom left, and like the ending screen. So it just sort of looks like they just used the design again, which, you know, like nothing against that. Just an interesting observation. Yeah, so these guys, they appear inside of Dodgeroll's first game, and have appeared inside, and so they're apparently native to the Gungeon as well. Okay, so next is the Resourceful Rat deals with Kaliber. The Resourceful Rat being this guy, who, you know, has his own secret floor. He's like his own secret floor. You can kill him over and over again, and they'll come back. Which, I mean, that just follows the nature of the Gungeon's curse. So, what stands to reason is that with how he's able to just have an entire hidden chamber, like a complex maze, that uses, like, his, like, sort of uses the winding walls of the Gungeon to his advantage, but is still having a set pathway alongside being just like so damn strong, plus able to just plus being able to just like appear and disappear like anywhere in the Gungeon. Just like, let's see, give myself an active, give orange. Give it another one. So yeah, here's an orange. I leave and come back. Which, I mean, upon retrospect, this is not that good of an example. So it'll be gone. Yeah. So here's the orange. I just leave a room. He'll laugh. Yeah, he will just appear, and he just can just appear and disappear at will. I'll just drop this here. So he can just appear and steal any item, just like that. Even though it has time to just like leave a note for you and insult you. Oh yeah, that referred to That refers to, once again, we're talking about the resourceful rat again. Yeah. Yeah, he just has a balloon where he steals, like, stuff required for people's side quest. So his ability to just, like, maneuver around the Gungeon, every which way, have his own little maze, like, be so strong. It stands to reason that perhaps he made a deal with Kaliber, the goddess of guns and bullets, herself. Just for either his power, his ability to just maneuver around the Gungeon so well. Because, like, it even mentions that like, second time loop, he made a nest and name for himself while training. His martial, it mentions how he likely has, like, the ability to reach the gun that can kill the past. However, he found his calling, being an ass to Gungeoneers. He doesn't care about the gun that can kill the past. In his eyes, he has no regrets. For his own eyes, he's king. So perhaps, like, this connects back to the earlier theory that I made, that the Gungeon is a sort of Kaliber's way of, like, punishing heretical guns, like the gun that can kill the past, and being created, and sort of as a way of deterring and preventing people from reaching it after it's been created. Since the rat doesn't care about the gun that can kill the past, and also enjoys just being an ass, annoying, pestering, and just stealing from Gungeoneers going down into the Gungeon, perhaps it could stand the reason that Kaliber just sort of gave him her blessing, and, like, alongside the ability to make the rat maze, just because he doesn't care about that gun that can kill the past, and so he's not dealing with that heretical gun. Kaliber just made a deal with him, so he can just go off and do his own thing. I mean, it's not like this essentially is another thing made by, like, the original poster, and when they were reaching most of the stuff, they were, like, kind of, like, making, like, those, like, joke entries as, like, you get deeper into the iceberg. But this one, I actually think there's, like, a lot this actually stands on its own legs. That's, like, an actual theory, because it honestly makes a lot of sense. So after that, we have that the Gungeon is 3D. So I know you're looking at this and you're like, dude, are we looking at the same game? This does not look like 3D to me. Isometric, sure, but I mean, like, you know, it's just sprite layering. And that's where the magic comes in. Because the Gungeon is made in Unity, and the thing with Unity is 2D is still kinda sorta 3D. Here it is at an alternate angle. It is kind of sort of clever sprite layering, like, and skewing, but it actually is in 3D. Excuse me. So this entire thing is, like, I mean, while mostly flat, it uses the isometric things to sort of organize things in a really, like, you know, pleasing aesthetical way. Like, to the point that it's even existed in first person. In the game Strafe, which has a gun into the Gungeon, there's a little mini game where you play as the Marine, and you sort of going through the Gungeon at, like, an arcade style, like, a little mini game. And, like, from, like, the tiling and this all that, like, it uses, like, the same, like, Gungeon art style, and, like, presumably the same, like, rendering techniques as well. But, like, with the camera moved drastically, giving the game an entirely different feel. So the Gungeon is actually, while not a traditional, like, 3D game in the traditional sense, it uses all 3 dimensions to help sell its aesthetic. And then, of course, Tonic.exe. Ooh, spooky. You know, I found a haunted copy of Enter the Gungeon in my neighbor's garage sale for $2. I booted it up, and what do you know? I saw Tonic. Tonic was already unlocked. In fact, Tonic was the only character I could choose to play as. I couldn't even play as Tonic in the base game. Next thing you know, my screen is taken over. It's Tonic with with blood from his eyes, hyper realistic style. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, that is just the. It's just the edgy, you know, like Sonic.exe, Tonic.exe. After that, lead maidens are canonically more powerful than black holes. And, well... I mean, this one is pretty cut and dry. Yep. Of course, when it's closed. Okay, so now back to, like, actually entry that requires explaining. The Ruby Bracelet rework. Now, back in the game, or... Well, let me give myself the makeshift cannon. Just because this only has one bullet. Whenever you empty a gun in Gungeon, you can still attack with it, kinda. If you hold the fire button, you charge up, and you can throw it. And then you can pick it up again. This is completely useless. Because, like, if you throw it into... If the room has pits, it hits, like, a flying enemy, like, let's say, like, a bullet. You hit the bullet with your thrown gun. It falls in the pit. Yeah, that gun's gone forever. However, there's an item, the Ruby Bracelet. That whenever you have it... Actually, come on. Like... Description used to, the little text used to say something different, just said thrown guns explode. Which, yeah, it does. Thankfully, it doesn't destroy the gun. Yeah, it just makes it explode. And even the old description, which is cutting to the point, yeah, it just makes thrown guns explode. And there's even other unused bracelets. The code in the game mentions the Emerald Bracelet, which makes them return to you. Like, mentioning how, like, it's like, jealous and wants the guns to be held by no other hands than yours. Or, make sure the guns can be held by no other hands than yours. Alongside a Sapphire and Amethyst bracelet, that we don't know what either of them do. However, once the final update, Farewell to Arms, dropped, you could go to the blacksmith and the forge, and it gives you a sort of additional effect. You run around for a bit. It gives you immunity to contact damage, which is sort of irrelevant as the bullet, because you already have that. But if you, as any of the other characters, which, I mean, is the only way they can get this effect, because you can't unlock live ammo, which is the bullet's starting item for any... You can't unlock it. But if you just run around without rolling for like 4 seconds, you just get this purple effect, and your next roll will deal 300 damage if you roll into an enemy. He also gives it a new description. Kinetic aura can be unleashed by dodge-rolling at enemies. In the bygone era of the Gungeon, misguided scarcity created situations where throwing a firearm as a last resort weapon seemed viable. In modern, sensible times, denizens of the Gungeon have come to understand that throwing a gun is awkward and pointless. So useless was the ruby bracelet in its previous form that the gunsmith melted it down and reforged it. So it doesn't even mention its old effect that it still has. And the gunsmith being the blacksmith who made it. I have the text string here. So she says, hey, one other thing. You know the ruby bracelet? If you see it, can you bring it to me? No rush. And then if you have it, yeah, so you can give it to her. She says, I made this thing when I was first starting out. I hate it. It reminds me of failure. I'm going to fix it. Make it better. He then gives it back to you after reforging it. Okay, it is better. Different, at least. Here you go. I never want to see it again. So, it was just a sort of one... So, with that, it makes it into one of the first things that the blacksmith forged. And then, with its sort of useless effect of only applying to thrown guns, I guess she sort of regretted the entire thing. That's giving a sort of canonical justification. But yeah, so it still has its like thrown gun effect once you first like start using it. It only gets this effect after you give it to her, reforge. And I think that actually needs a toggle. Like I think you need to have made the bullet that can kill the past. Or maybe, like, because I don't remember if it was either if it needed to be unlocked, or for the ability to do that, or if it was just sort of a little thing since it was introduced in an update as a sort of way to tell people, hey, bring this here. And then so for the final entry of the Forge, we have glitches exist in reality, not gameplay. So this implies that anything that implies in the anything that like looks like a glitch. So like if I spawn a wall mimic, and like, oh wow, that look doesn't look right. No, this looks just fine. It's reality that's wrong. Which again, this is just another thing from the original person who made the Iceberg. Don't smoke, kids. Don't smoke, it's not cool. It kills you. But yeah, so it's just another entry. Okay, this is like the one where it's like, yeah, after this and the final layer, like they're all just insane. That just like replace the entire final layer. This is just sort of, yeah. If I were to guess, this is probably like just like a different way of saying, like every copy is personalized or whatever, like that similar kind of vein, where it's like, no, it's meant to be like this, or like reality itself is wrong or whatever. Like I can't, much like Gungeon Revolutionary War, I cannot put together what this even is supposed to mean. Except even with Gungeon Revolutionary War, I at least had some ideas of what it could be. Either way, that's the Forge. That's the 6th layer. Meaning, we are up to our final one. Layer 7. Bullet Hell. This is filled with the kind of stuff that kind of information that most people just straight up would not know. Starting with this one that a lot of people like everyone that unlocks the Gunslinger encounters, but not necessarily notices. The Gunslinger past boss track. So when you're unlocking the Gunslinger, you do a complete run as the Gunslinger. Well, or from a shortcut if the Paradox run that started from a shortcut. Either way, so then you reach Bullet Hell, where you reach the gun that can kill. You go into the path the way that leads to the gun that can kill the past. Then you're snatched and taken to bullet hell, where you go through bullet hell and go to the Lich fight, where instead you fight just a duo of Liches. One of them, like, sort of a paradox, but shooting jammed bullets. What's special about this is that this fight uses a track heard nowhere else in the game. And it's not in any of the soundtrack releases. So the only way to hear this track is to rip it from in-game. So, that track it's only heard, like, in that one situation. It doesn't play anywhere else in the game. Like I'm currently playing the Enter the Gungeon soundtrack. That track is heard nowhere in there. It's like a remix. Like a remix, or it sounds not even like a remix, but more like just like the boss track, which I'll just play now. Let's see. Definitely is it. Yeah, so it sounds like it's just a boss track, but with like the musician does one. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce his name, but it's just like his name. Or, I mean, not his name. Just like him rapping over, or just like doing that just sort of rap over like the boss track. which, I mean, it created more to, like, just to sell, like, how dramatic this, like, final fight is. But, you know, still, that track is not used anywhere else, and isn't, like, in any of the soundtrack releases. Not in Exit the Gungeon, not in Enter the Gungeons, not in the, like, the EP where he, like, where the musician, like, the composer musician, like, raps over other tracks in the game. And then, so, after that, we have gun classes, which, back when I was first making this was, like, this is, like, in all the, like, information from this Iceberg, this is the most recent. Which, yeah, I was working on this thing so long, like, I had this on the back burner for so long, a new mechanic of the game was, like, discovered. But either way, what it does, like, it's a mechanic that, like, Magnificent, it's sort of a mechanic to vary up players' run. But instead of just making it so you don't find too many rare items, it makes it to where you don't find too many of the same weapons. Every weapon is given a class. There's the Nun class, the Pistol class, the Shotgun class. Like, so let me just show examples. Like the Pistol class, the Shotgun class, Full Auto, Rifle, Beam, yeah, this would be a beam, Poison, Fire, Ice, Charm, which are like the status effects, Explosive, Silly, Shitty, and Charge. Having any of these, like, types of guns affects like a formula of getting a weapon of the same class. The formula being, like, chance to get a gun times 5 times 0.5 to the power being to the power of A being the number of guns of the same class inside your inventory. However, this means you can modify it. If, like, because it only affects it on spawn. So if you, like, buy a chest, you can modify the likelihood you're able to get a certain type of gun by dropping all the guns of that type before opening it. However, the Nun class doesn't follow this rule. But the Nun class only has 3 guns. And another thing to note is that the gun class system only affects guns. Items do not follow this system at all. But the 3 Nun class guns are the Krula Glaive, the Chamber Gun, which we have an entire little span covering that last stream, and the Slinger, which is the Gunslinger's starting weapon. Which is interesting to note because every other starting weapon is given the Shitty class. And instead of, like, so if you find one of a pistol, the formula, with how the formula works, you have a 50, like, half as likely chance, a 50% chance, like, less likely chance of finding another pistol. With Shitty class guns, however, like these, or the Unfinished Gun, instead of being at 50, it's at 90. Oh yeah, except Blasphemy. Blasphemy isn't a shitty gun either. Yeah, and since you can't even drop these, you're permanently at a less likely chance of getting shitty guns. Or at least one's classified as. And other than these drops, it's not used for anything else. Except one synergy. With Shotgun Cola, and shotgun coffee, it gives you the synergy shotgun affinity. Oh. Which, this is like the only mechanic, this is the only direct gameplay impacting thing in the game that the gun class system uses. And what it does is it gives you a damage buff to all shotguns, or rather guns classified as a shotgun, which this is where the gun class system gets a bit wonky. So there's the trick gun, which is the Bloodborne reference gun we showed off earlier. I can find it. There's a trick gun, which, I mean, it may start as a pistol, but transforms into a shotgun. It's counted as a silly weapon. So was a bundle of wands. The Huntsman, which we also saw earlier. This is marked as full auto, which notably, it's not a full auto gun. The Icebreaker, noted as ice. The Blunderbuss is a charged weapon. Shot Grub is poison. Charm. Shotgun Full of Hate is marked as a shotgun, but still, like, it has poison dealing effects, like the Shot Grub. The Tangler is silly, despite only being a visual effect. Rattler is poison. The Sawed-Off Shotgun is a shotgun, but this stands to note that this is a starting weapon too. So, when you're playing as a convict, you automatically have a 50% less likely chance of picking up more shotguns. And might I say, better shotguns, since it's a starting item for a reason. The other bit is that the crossbow, which is the hunter's starting weapon, is counted as a pistol. So you're automatically less likely to find pistol-type weapons. However, the crossbow is markedly in a better place than the sawed-off. But to finish it off, the big shotgun, literally called big shotgun, a shotgun that's big, it's explosive. So, a slight issue with how some things are categorized. Oh yeah, Knights Gun, also. Wait, no, I'm pretty sure it is classified as a shotgun. But, yeah, no. Monster shotgun type weapons aren't classified as shotguns. So, interesting. So after that, it's Snails' Conversion. So, you know, we went over Snails. He's like Tonic's little buddy. Like, you know, he's supposed to be like Tails, but Snails, really slow, talks slowly, has 2 snail shells. Well, you see, the guy on the left is called Hattori. And then Exit the Gungeon, Hattori like talks about something called a were-hat, which can convert other living beings into also hats. And Hattori, not so subtly, wants to convert other people in the breach into hats. And then, once you find Snails, or Hattori, or I think it's one or the other, after a few runs, well, this happens. Hattori. And when you first come across that snail, because if you didn't notice, well, Snails has been turned into a hat. And when you first come across him, well, he asked, why did you let him in here? And Hattori deflects, being like, oh man, there must be a werehat around. But yeah, so, you know, yeah, Snails gets turned into a hat, and Hattori is evil. Okay, so this one. Okay, so this is the hidden Klobbe synergy. So the Klobbe is just a gun with lots of spread and just like terrible stats, terrible damage, like across the board, because it's a reference to like GoldenEye, where it's also a terrible gun. However, back from the early Gungeon days, before synergies were proper, and like given like the little symbol and explanations and whatnot, where guns would just had hidden effects with each other. The Klobbe had one with the Cog of Battle, which is like this Gears of War style active reload whenever you reload a gun. And whenever you get one, what it does is it massively buffs your damage, increases knockback by 10, and gives you laser focus for as many bullets are as empty as it is full. So I shoot one bullet, I reload, get it, I shoot one bullet, and yeah, one bullet gets that buff, the others don't. So as you saw, the end of the clip was still there, perfect to the straight, regular. So if you perfectly empty it out and hit the active reload, the entire next clip would get the bonus. And just a sort of example, as you can see, this is doing terribly. And now we show what it's really able to do. Much better damage. This also applies to its synergy, which I can see it looks kind of stupid. It has this like massive spread. But if you fully reload it, you just get that same buff. And all the bullets are like merged into one bullet perfectly. So as you can imagine, it becomes quite potent. So that's just a little hidden synergy that the Klobbe has. Next we have is the fact that Earth isn't real. Yeah, no, this place we're existing on doesn't exist. Or at least in the Gungeon. Okay, so despite humanity existing and all that and whatnot, the pure hegemony of man, the Earth isn't a real planet in Gungeon. Because with Mr. Accretion, like this is something I put in there. So because I removed the entire last layer of the original one. Because, no. But I couldn't just resist putting, like, one in here. I had to have my fun. But, yeah, with the Mr. Accretion Jr., it fires at replica planets of a fictional solar system. Collect all 8. So, if Mr. Jr. Look at that. Also, despite the fact that, the Earth is, like, right here, like all these globes, unless it's, you know, of other planets. Yeah, this thing has it has replicas of the planets. So it's not even that the Earth isn't real, it's that our entire solar system isn't real. So next thing we have is the glitch chest, which like much like the rainbow chest, this is also another like extremely rare thing. I know I spawned this somehow. Oh wait, no. It's past tense. Yeah, this is a glitch chest. Yeah, it looks pretty gnarly, don't it? So, just so we have a bit of a better chance for what's about to happen, let's give ourselves a rainbow chest or two. Three, actually. Because trust me, we're gonna be needing it. Yep, looks good to me. Sprung. Okay. Okay, so the glitch chest, when you open it, it sends you to the next floor. Well, okay, so what happens is it, much like the ChanceToGoApeshit, it has a 0.1% chance of replacing a regular chest, be it in a room or on a room clear reward. Like 0.1% chance, and only in the first, second, or third floor. And only after you've beaten the Beholster, which is this boss. You have to have beaten this guy once, and after at least 10 Gungeon runs. So it's sort of like a soft unlock condition. And, well... but, you know, so... It also stands to mention that with the chest teleport item... let's see, where is it? Which allows you to, teleport a chest down a floor, in case you don't have a key, or the chance to upgrade the chest. You can technically move it past. However, it also stands to know that if you open a glitch chest in bullet hell, it soft locks the game. Either way, so you use it, and what it takes you to is, well, it takes you to a room, to a glitched floor with only a boss fight. A glitched Beholster. Completely garbled text. Also, there's two of them. So yeah, it's kind of like the extreme version of the Gunslinger's past. We just have to fight two of these guys at once. Man, luckily I'm fast enough. And if you died, it would have and if I died, it would have shown like a string of glitch text. Oh yeah, but yeah, here, see, this is a mimic. It's the middle thing is more centered. The thing on the right is the smaller, and they're blinking. But yeah, killing the glitch Beholster allows you to. It spawns a hell of a lot of pickups. and like all these pedestals, which, you know, important to note, they can be glitched. And yeah, as you can see, if you somehow manage to do it without getting hit, you do get the unlocks. I mean, you do get the flawless, like the master round. Now then, yeah, that's it. So next we have that the loading screen is real. So look at the loading screen. There's a little bullet jumping, like going around, jumping into a cylinder. So let's just. Okay, so I mean, what it does is that bullet can, like bullet can just walk by, the thing stops, and then it jumps in. I'm just loading too fast. The thing is, that's not just a loading screen. That's a real thing. Say hello to the Kilinder. A boss from Exit the Gungeon, and its entry reads as such: the flaming eyes of Kaliber call the Bulletkin, urging them to fall into the dark chamber. Legends say that this sacrificial altar was used to kill time in between floors of the Gungeon, so Gungeoneers wouldn't get bored. Sorry about that. But yeah, so the loading screen is real, and this is it. It's just, I mean, it's it kind of verges on like edgy, but like it's still also technically a real thing. But just, you know, it's funny. Okay, so next up is Disguised Rainbow Chest. Now, I might as well keep this up. Rainbow Chests have, alongside with a chance of like appearing naturally, or Rainbow Chests can disguise themselves as a brown chest, even like being locked. They'll only reveal when it's opened, broken, or shot with a goop weapon. Much like glitch chests having a sort of hidden unlock condition and not telling you that you've unlocked them, Disguised Rainbow Chests have them as well. You gotta break 5 brown chests. So yeah, you open a brown chest, it like just gets this rainbow effect, and you know, it's like any other rainbow chest. Well, okay, like a naturally spawning rainbow chest, not like the rainbow mode rainbow chest. And continuing on this is that it goes the other way around, where a natural looking chest can be a rainbow chest. The Rainbow Synergy chest, like, it doesn't have the effect, but it can, like, have this, like, okay, so, it doesn't have the rainbow effect, but it still does have the effect of dropping 8 items. But it'll be kind of like a, so like you open it, and if it rolls not synergy, then you just get, it's like regular rainbow chest. It drops 8 items. However, if it rolls synergy, then you get 8 items that make synergies with what you're currently holding. Or just items if, you know, you're not. So that's something interesting to know. And then we have our final entry. The Gungeon Is A Paradox. Now this is where I'm going back into being a crazy theorist. And that's, well, the Gungeon shouldn't exist. Rather, if we're going with the theory that the Gungeon is only barely a place, or more of an idea, that this Gungeon shouldn't exist anymore. So here's the brief timeline. Gunslinger is afraid that the guns will make the old magics useless, like an obsolete. He creates experiments, hires Edwin and his daughters to make guns, so that he can do further experiments. Eventually, he goes to create the gun that can kill the past. Kaliber doesn't like this, and as such, sends down the Great Bullet, which sends the Gunslinger into bullet hell, either transforming him or he soon transforms into the Lich, masters the Gungeon, becomes master of bullet hell, and quote-unquote true master of the Gungeon. When the Great Bullet fell, it also put a curse on the Gungeon, an old magic's curse, one that creates a time loop, where those who enter can never leave. Only way to break it is to kill your past and therefore your reason for being in the Gungeon. However, the Gungeon itself is frozen in time, and seems to grow more unstable as time goes on, especially due to the fact that one of the ingredients you gather for the Gungeon is planar lead. Lead from the Great Bullet itself that shimmers between reality and the outer plane. Well, not the outer plane, but the curtain, which is like the wall between it. And specifically, this bit is used to tear through, because the reason why you have to make the bullet that can kill the past is because the magic of the Gungeon. Because the blacksmith mentions that the old magic of the curse wouldn't let you go kill your past if you just use the gun that can kill the past as is. However, in making the bullet that can kill the past, it allows you to shoot way past the magic of the Gungeon, so the curse binding that binds it, and shoot directly to your past. Thus potentially leading to the planar hole, as it's ripping through the magic, and since it's planar lead, its shooting may cause instability in the curtain that the Mind Flayer was able to tear through, and thus allow the Mind Flayer, the kill of the race, and Gungamesh and exit the Gungeon, allowing them all in. And all this sort of stuff just creating killing the past, Gungeon is still being here, killing the Lich, firing the gun that can kill the past into him, leading to the breaking down of the curtain, leading to things like a living paradox that goes to kill its past. It brings the past version of the Lich here that uses the gun that can kill the past to send him down to bullet hell, where he kills his future by killing his present self, and a paradox version of its present self, which somehow causes him to never make the gun that can kill the past, thus leading the Gungeon to never existing. Because this is what happens when the Gunslinger kills his past. Normal looking dungeon. What place where the Gungeon once was, it's just a normal dungeon. Like the dungeon he originally made.
dungeon when to whisper one truth.
And there, you see the Gunslinger throwing his like, gun into the water below. But, like, in front of the Gungeon. Like, thus representing, like, him just rejecting, like, the future. Like, his future. This, like, completely undoes what the Gungeon is. I mean, you can even see some of this instability and how, like, after, like, these 5 killed their past, like, they're still stuck in the Gungeon. While everyone else could just leave, these guys are stuck still. Thus showing some of the instability that the Gungeon is, like, suffering. Like, the time-binding magic especially. But in the Gunslinger killing his future, past, whatever, this erases the Gungeon from existence. Which, the curse, like, you know, it still maintains the Gungeon's existence, but, you know, this is sort of like a death blow, causing the Gungeon to start crumbling physically and temporally, leading to exit the Gungeon. But, you know, despite this, House of the Gundead takes place in the Gungeon. Despite it, you know, sort of not existing anymore, or being destroyed. And you could say, oh, Tuba takes place before or after. It can't. Because he has some issues with that. Carrying this picture, like this picture, it shows the detective chasing down the resourceful rat, who made his home in the Gungeon. Which you could say, oh, but Tuba, you know, still. But then, there's the fact that the detective, that she's working with the Super Space Turtle, and she's introduced to him inside, like, an alien bar or whatever, with the description that you're gonna be working with someone who's escaped the Gungeon before. And you could be like, oh, but I mean, a Super Space Turtle probably just left and came back. Somehow. Killed the past and came back for another reason. Or came back with the detective. Well, here's the other bit. Even if... Like, yeah, here's another bit that I just realized. Even if... Like, this was... a second go-around or whatever. They should still be trapped. Because at the end of the game... Like, end of House of the Gundead, Ganymede explodes. Which, two things. One, it can't be in the past, because, well, it's one thing if the Gungeon is just somehow there still. It's another thing if the planet the planet itself explodes. Unless this is just like a second Gungeon that someone else, that Kaliber also sent like a great bullet and like used a great bullet on, and the Babylonians just made their base there instead. After the Gungeon like sort of crumbled, like the Ganymede Gungeon, because technically there's nothing saying this is Ganymede. It could technically hold my like if my theory is true, this could be a different planet that also just has a Gungeon. And the Gungeon is more than a physical place. But I mean, like that, like that's a bit of like wild conjecture, and technically we have no reason to think otherwise, or that, and no proof that my theory is like actually true. But either way, if this is like Ganymede, and the Gungeon is supposed to be the same Gungeon, considering it even has the ghost of Sir Manuel still. Like, House can't take place before, but I mean, House can't take place after, because the Gungeon, like, has collapsed. And, like, it's shown them entering the Gungeon, and, like, the Gungeon should, like, A, not exist, and B, if it does, like, if it's the Gungeon from Enter the Gungeon, specifically, like, it should be crumbled, since it'd be after exit. And it can't take place before Enter the Gungeon, due to Ganymede itself exploding. When I originally put down this entry, this, like, footage of House of the Gungeon hadn't shown yet. So it was just me talking about, like, you know, the connection between Enter and Exit the Gungeon. With this, it takes on a whole new meaning of, like, the Gungeon itself, its existence is a paradox. Or rather, at least the one on Ganymede is, if we're going with the interpretation that a planet House of the Gungeon takes place on, is Ganymede. And if it is, which we have all reason to think it is, then its entire existence is a paradox due to House of the Gundead just conflicting with the entire thing. Which you could, I mean, you could just say, oh, too, but it's just non-canon. But I mean, one, I mean, that just seems like an easy way out. Two, I mean, we're just like connecting all these threads anyways, so why not try? It's just a bit of fun in the end. Like, I'm not saying that, like, I sound a bit like I don't know if I sound angry or not, but like this is me going like, this is wild, this is insane, and I mean that in a good way. Because I mean, this is like perfectly in line with like how Gungeon like would usually works. Yeah, the Gungeon doesn't exist, is crumbled, and Ganymede itself is both existing and exploded. Technically, actually no, it can't even take place during Exit the Gungeon either. Because in Exit the Gungeon, Super Space Turtle is a bit busy hunting down the Galactopus with you, which you do after exiting the Gungeon. And like, after like you kill the last Dragun, you go down outside the Gungeon, you find Super Space Turtle, you go fight the Galactopus. Like this. You Super Space Turtle is just riding for you, and like he takes you back too after you beat the Galactopus. So it can't be during that either, because like right after you beat the Galactopus, Super Space Turtle like takes you back, and then you leave like right after, and the Gungeon collapses, and Ganymede notably doesn't explode. So it can't be during, because, well, Super Space Turtle would have to be outside the Gungeon helping you fight the Galactopus, and inside the Gungeon going down deeper and deeper to go save Blackstash, who, mind you, was killed in the Convict's past, but, you know, is seemingly alive and is president of the hegemony of man, kidnapped by the Blobulonians. And does it also imply that the Blobulonians, like, their ship is beneath the Gungeon as well? Which, I mean, that's just sort of a different thing. But it's just sort of a lot of conflicting things that sort of, you know, it's a lot of wrenches in the entire engine. Which, like I said, not a bad thing. It's interesting. But yeah, the Gungeon's existence is a big paradox. And just like that, we're done. Oh, man. That felt good. Like, really good. But just like that, we're finished. That's the entire thing. from beginning to end. That's 7 layers of information. And who knows how many pages of notes and like theories. Done and dusted. Oh man. This feels good, you know? Just like one of those things. And, you know, I'd really like to thank y'all for just, you know, sticking around. Hearing me just ramble on and sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist with some of these bits. But yeah, like, I mean, you know, I really do love this, like, series with the bag, like... Yeah, hey, if I manage to convince somebody, I mean, even better. But yeah, I'll soon be making, like, you know, timestamping this like VOD 2 after I'm done, a bit after I'm done, and then I'll probably make a playlist of all the Iceberg streams together. But yeah, no, like, I love this series, like, really deeply. And the fact that I have a copy that was given by, like, one of the developers personally, I mean, that's a keepsake I'll treasure forever. Yeah, it's nice, and like I said, just nice having you all around. Just it does feel really good. Okay, so that was a lot of information. Honestly, it didn't feel. Honestly, it was so dense last stream that I just felt raw after that. But then again, we're not over 3 hours like before then. Well, it's time for me to hit the dust trail, and I'm sure y'all find yourselves on after this. Hope they find you well. And then I hope our trails cross again. Much more consistently in the future. Hopefully. Bye, y'all.